Hello, this is Manish Patel from ichimoku and alerttrades.com. Today we're going to go through the U.S. stock markets, cover all the markets. This is for our monthly newsletter that we basically put out at the beginning of the month. We're going to go for the Nasdaq, we're going to go for the E-mini, Russell, and the Dow futures and go for them in great detail, talk about what their current state is now and basically what their current support resistance levels are and what our forecast is going to be for the next month. Let's go for our normal disclaimer to state this is for education use only. We're not soliciting you buy or selling a particular instrument. If you do so, you're doing that at your own risk. All information is owned by EII Capital Group, cannot be copied or distributed without our written permission. We are broker neutral, so we support all the various charting and broker platforms out there. Today we're going to be using TradeStation for charting purposes, since we're going to be looking at the future products for both for all the U.S. stock markets. Okay. Here are our contact details. So if you have any questions, you could email us at info@eiicapital.com, or you could call us at any of our office locations listed below. So let's get straight to the charts. Let me kill this. And then let's get to the charts. Now, last month in our monthly video update, we basically talked about how the Nasdaq has been leading the markets moving forward. And then basically there was the the Nasdaq, then there was the E-mini, Dow, and the Russell, and the Russell was the laggard behind everything. But basically this huge move up that we've been experiencing for a long time is being basically due to technology in the Nasdaq side. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at these markets in that sequence right now. So first we're going to look at the Nasdaq E-mini futures here. This is the weekly time frame. You could see that this is going up, 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 up. You can see that this is still bullish here, really has not pulled back at all. Every month we're making almost new highs moving forward. Now right now we have specified the support here, which is at 54.81.25. However, you can't really specify a support as we making new highs, so we really need this thing to kind of pull back to kind of register a new key support here. You can't really see what a resistance is because this is all new time high. A lot of people are using Fibonacci to forecast that, but even you're at a point where Fibonacci won't work too well because you're past the 200% retracement extension values and stuff like that. So you're kind of getting in uncharted territory as far as Fibonacci is concerned with using extensions to figure out where this thing possibly could go. The way we always look at it is we always looking for it to get the whole numbers. You could see it's at 56.24 right now, so the next resistance since it's at all-time high is going to be around 5,700. But this is basically the weekly time frame. Let's look at the daily time frame and see if it tells the same story. So give me a minute. So here is the daily time frame here. You could see it's also being supported here to go up, up, up. And you could see that the major support that started this bullish trend is right here at level at 5,400. After basically broke that resistance at 5,400, this thing has not looked back at all and keeps on going here. The red dots basically show a short-term overextension, not a medium or extreme. So this thing still could keep on going higher day by day, making new highs. And you really can't find a support until this thing decides to pull back a little. Once it pulls back a little, then we can establish where the supports are, because supports and resistances are established during consolidation and pullbacks, not when something's trending. Okay, so now let's look at the E-mini S&P 500, which was the second strongest market that we saw last month. So here's the E-mini S&P 500 futures on the weekly time frame. You could see there's a nice bullish trend going after elections here. Came all the way to the resistance at 2397.50, kind of held that level here, and that was just recently too, and then it pulled back. When it did a pullback, it came to the minor support at 2323. It held that level here, and eventually it broke the resistance at 2357. And once it broke that resistance here, and as long as it maintains this resistance as a support, so the support now at 2357 has to hold. As long as it holds the support here, we got a high probability of retesting this major resistance here at 2397.50 and also breaking it too, since this pullback was not even a medium pullback at all. It tells us the strength is still very, very strong. Let's look at the daily time frame and see if the daily agrees with the weekly. And you could see here from the chart, You can see from the chart here that basically we had a nice bullish trend, then it decided to go for a major pullback in March. The major pullback didn't even get to the bottom of the cloud where it tried to go bearish at all. So that's telling us that the bullish momentum is still very strong. Not as strong as if it had just skated on top of the cloud here, but it's still very strong. So this thing has consolidated here and decide to break that consolidation now by breaking this resistance level here. So since this never really pulled back all the way bottom to the cloud and tried to go bearish at all, the momentum is still very strong, and that indicates that if this sits there and retests the high at 2397.50, there's still a high probability of breaking it and going higher. So this is still very strong, and you could see this right here is trying to retest the high, and whereas the Nasdaq's trying to make new time highs every day. So that tells you that this is second strongest right now to the Nasdaq. Let's now go look at the Dow futures and see what the story it tells. The Dow futures here on the weekly time frame, this chart looks very, very similar to the E-mini on the weekly time frame. You can see there's a nice little trend here, pulled back to the minor support here at 20,320, then basically broke the resistance at 20,631, and now is trying to retest the high at 21,105. So this is very, very similar to the E-mini, where you had a trend, a minor pullback, and now it broke a resistance, tried to retest the high, and that's pretty much where the Russell futures is also at the same level. The difference is going to be here on the daily time frame, okay, and you could see based on the daily time frame which is strong and weak. And the reason why is if you look on the E-mini, remember the E-mini never got to a point it got to the bottom of the cloud and tried to break it. Over here in the Dow futures, you did get to the bottom of the cloud right there and you tried to break it. In fact, you did close below the cloud at 1.2, which is right there. So this actually tried to sit there and go bearish, whereas the E-mini didn't. And this is why this is basically second best to the E-mini as far as strength is concerned. But it's still bullish. The reason why is it held the support here, broke the resistance here, and has now a high probability of retesting the high here. But since it went for the cloud and tried to go bearish, the probabilities of breaking the resistance here is going to be low unless the higher time frame takes control. But right now, basically, this is second best compared to the E-mini. So if you look at the hierarchy of everything, it's still being maintained, where the Nasdaq is the strongest, second is going to be the E-mini, the third is basically going to be the Dow futures. And now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the Russell futures to see exactly where that stands, because that was the laggard last month. Okay, here is basically the Russell futures. You could see the difference between the Russell futures and the E-mini and all the other markets. And the reason why is that after elections, the markets took off here, and the others basically went for a minor pullback in March. This thing here decided to go up to the high right there, get around roughly around the resistance of 1380, and then decided to consolidate before the end of this year. So whereas the other markets kept on going all the way into March and then go for a minor pullback, this one decided to enter a consolidation pattern before 2017 even hit, and basically been consolidating between 1341 and 1416. And that's basically the consolidation pattern you have going on right now. You could see here we retested low here, the support here, we got here to the resistance here, held the resistance at 1460.80, and now we have a support here at 1380.16. Now the way the price action looks right now is it looks like it's trying to get back to the retested resistance here without retesting the middle support here. So this is going to be interesting to see. So just like all the other markets, the Russell futures, just like the Dow and the S&P, is trying to retest the high after breaking a major resistance. So you're starting to see that here too, even though it's lagging compared to the Dow and the S&P. So this basically is where we stand there. So in conclusion, we basically concluded the same thing as last month. The Nasdaq is the strongest, then it's basically the E-mini, Dow, and the Russell. So if you're looking at any pairs trade, I will definitely keep on going long the Nasdaq and basically look at either shorting the Russell futures or the Dow futures compared to anything for a pairs hedge trade with options. Okay. Hope you, if you have any questions, feel free to email us at info@eiicapital.com. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next month. Thank you.